interestingly enough.
Now live by the President of the United States, President Donald Trump. President Trump, thank you very much for joining us on the Sunday briefing, sir.
Oh, shit.
First off, how are you after all of this, and how is the First Lady doing?
She's doing great. I'm fine, and it was a very sad evening in many ways, and it was also an evening where
everyone going beast mode on Twitter. Why is it that a Democrat is never shot at? John F. Kennedy saying, fuck you. John F. Kennedy account saying, fuck you. It's crazy. First of all, this is an insane statement, okay? Because Democrats are shot at all the fucking time. And it also feels like you're demanding that Democrats get shot at. High-profile Democrats have been killed. Like, what are we fucking talking about? The difference, of course, is when that happens, Republicans immediately go, oh, this is actually another leftist conspiracy. It's unbelievable. Yeah, Minnesota. If you recall, the way that the Republicans talked about Minnesota was immediately saying, oh, this was left-on-left violence or something. Yeah, Melissa Hortman. They lied, and they were like, yeah, Tim Walz actually hired him to kill. Tim Walz hired this man to kill Democrats. The motherfucker's manifesto had Tim Walz as a target. It wasn't even an ex-Walz aide, guys. Come on. The guy was a fucking security. He owned a security company. He was a psychopathic white supremacist Christian nationalist that had worked with like evangelical churches in Africa and shit. He was a literal mercenary. And Tim Walz had not hired him as an aide. He was one of those like small business bureau appointments that was a holdover from the previous admins. It's crazy. Yeah, he was on a bipartisan board that Walz just left him on when he got elected. Exactly.
a lot of people got together. It was I saw some Democrats as we were leaving, and they were generally hostile. And last night they were waving to me, and politicians, congressmen, senators, they were waving and saying, great going and hello. So there was something very nice. I tell you, it was, I mentioned it last night in my little discussion. I think it came together. The place was just coming together. It was very nice to see, actually.
I think you really struck the right tone, I have to say, in your remarks afterward, letting the world know that you're not going to let someone who would wish to do us harm snuff out our right to gather and to recognize the role of the free press in a democracy, and that your leadership in that moment, telling the world to, continue and stay strong, was important to hear. But I want to ask you about this news that we heard from the White House about Cole Allen, the suspected shooter, and his motive. I'm being told that he had a manifesto saying he wanted to target Trump administration officials. He had a lot of anti-Trump and anti-Christian rhetoric on his social media accounts, and left a manifesto in his hotel room that his brother had notified New London police about prior to this incident. I know Secret Service agents have been talking to his family members, his sister, at their residence, and said that this individual apparently attended a No Kings protest in California at some point, and that there was some concern that he might carry something out like this. What is your reaction to being the target of so much violence and hearing these new details?
Fox News is literally government press now. I mean, they've always been. It's always been. Whenever a Republican is in charge, Fox News is state media, always.
Just as they're breaking.
Well, I heard about the London situation, and I wish they would have told us about it a little bit, but it is what it is. We had a great group of people there last night. Also, it is
rather odd how much Donald Trump loves the situation. Like he's behaving very strangely, noticeably cheery. His tone is noticeably positive. He's like, it is what it is. You know, a lot of people, they want to kill me because I'm special. That's what he keeps saying. He's like, what we need to focus on is the ballroom. All right, that's it. Have you seen the polls? It's bad. People want to kill me. It's fine. They want to kill me because they love me. The opposite of hate. The opposite of love is not hate. It's indifference.
Both inside in terms of the people, the audience, and also because they were all, they were strong, relatively speaking, compared to what the potential threat was. And the Secret Service and all law enforcement I thought they were outstanding. You know, they can nitpick and everything else, but they were outstanding. They stopped them cold. And there was no games being played, that I can tell you. And you just look at them, these were strong, solid people who've got to get paid. You know, this is a group that is not being paid. If you think about it, the Democrats are holding up their pay, and I think maybe they'll loosen up a little bit now because I thought great talent was displayed last night. Bravery, but talent. He came in running like he was an NFL running back. Frankly, he was very fast, and they just stopped him cold. And there was no question. He never even came close to getting by the doors or getting through the doors. And if he did, there were so many people in there too, also security, and you have to go through a lot of layers. They did really a good job. I was very satisfied with it. It's always most.
Trump will be on Fake News 60 Minutes. How very Erica Kirk of Trump wanting to milk the latest assassination stunt. Oh my God. After law enforcement officers stopped the gunman from rushing the Washington Hilton ballroom where President Trump, members of his cabinet, journalists convened, Norah O'Donnell speaks with the president about the experience and what his signals about the state of the country. Tonight on 60 Minutes. Okay. I've never seen anything like this before in my life, by the way. Can we just talk about this? Awooga for like 1 second. What the hell is going on, dude?
Do not come.
I'm going to come.
My man is caked up. Awooga! Humana, humana, humana. It's the diaper.
So were most other people.
And I know that you want to get the next.
He's wearing an Echo beater. Yeah, he went on TikTok to purchase one of those like Echo beaters.
Event later on, once the ballroom is established, to have them host events like this in the future. But as I understand it from our conversation last night, Mr. President, that won't be ready for next year's event that I'll have to host. It certainly won't be ready for the rescheduled event that you want to do within the next 30 days. The Washington Hilton is host to a lot of events every year that you go to. The First Lady was just there on Thursday at the First Lady's Luncheon delivering remarks in that same room. And the dinner's been held there every year since 1968. Do you have any concern about holding it there, to the rescheduled event there, and then also next year's event? How will we make that safe?
Well, it's always tough when you have 1,000 rooms. It's a large hotel right on top, and so people come down in elevators, and they're right over the top of where you're speaking, not very far away, and it's pretty tough. And, as you know, we're building a big, beautiful, very, very secure ballroom in every way with massive bulletproof glass that's almost 4 inches thick. It's pretty amazing stuff.
When do you think
all of
that'll
the
be
different
ready?
elements that you need, like drone proof, you need drone proofing, you need everything. But we also need a location, and the location's on the White House grounds, which is the most secure ground probably in the world, including the fencing, including everything else. the president doesn't have to leave the premises. It's really very scary. And this is mostly for future presidents. And we're actually ahead of schedule, and we're right on budget and ahead of schedule. It was always scheduled to open in 28, and probably I would have 5 or 6 months of use, but other people will have many years, hopefully hundreds of years of use. But it's going to be a magnificent building. But it was also designed in conjunction with the military and in conjunction with Secret Service. It's got every single bell and whistle you can possibly have for security and safety. And we'll have that done very much on time, even ahead of schedule. It's ahead of schedule.
He gave Iran another 3-day ultimatum too, by the way. Yeah, he's like, I just survived an assassination attack. I'm feeling pretty good. So I will give another 3-day extension. It's like, bro, he gave a 3-week extension. He gave an unlimited extension to the fake ceasefire limbo that we're currently in. So
now, and it's really what you need. I mean, you can't have 1,000 rooms or whatever it is, a very big hotel on top of the ballroom, and people come down in the elevator and they're right next to the ballroom, and nobody's blaming them.
Yeah, Dana Fash, by the way, did the thing that I have been yelling about with centrist liberals. Oftentimes, people like Dana also are obviously pro-Israel as well, which makes the situation all the more interesting. Because, Israel is an unbelievably violent entity. So defending it and then turning around and being like, why are people so angry? Why are people so violent is crazy. But 2 things I wanted to show you from CNN. Okay. One was, hold on. Where is it? 2 things I wanted to show you from CNN is obviously Dana Bash. This is clipped by Aaron Rupar. Dana Bash, also known as Dana Fash, right? Interviewed Jamie Raskin. And in the interview with Jamie Raskin, Dana did the classic bullshit centrist nonsense.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right, but overall, do you
I have
a
no
responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend. And
yeah, I mean, it's just like, you should feel a sense of shame, in my opinion, for even addressing this, right? Like, you should feel a sense of shame for saying something like this. I mean, it's because it's so beyond the pale. It's like you're not presenting yourself as a centrist here who's simply above political partisanship. You genuinely are just being a soldier for the right when you do this. You don't have a duty to say the truth if you behave like this. A lot of people, I think, when I was younger, I used to always assume like centrists actually are arriving at their positions because, they want to call out both sides. And this is like a genuine intellectual, a genuine intellectual project. There's an opinion here that they believe that, it's important to call out your side as well. No, this is, at this stage, if you're still saying like, don't you feel like your side has something, a responsibility here with the rhetoric? You're not actually behaving in a centrist way. You're not actually arriving at some deep hidden truth by being critical of both sides. You're just legitimately behaving like a right-wing charlatan, a fucking hack. Where the fuck did it go? Oh, here it is.
against the president.
Like, don't you feel like the liberals have demonstrated dangerous rhetoric against the president? Lady, the president's a fucking fascist. Calling it out is the least we could do.
Yeah, and you have, and as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president.
Like what? What's the heated rhetoric? Calling him a fucking fascist? Calling him a Nazi? That's the heated rhetoric? What are we supposed to do? What are people supposed to do? People are just not supposed to call it out as they see it? Is that the most appropriate way to go about the situation? Doesn't make any sense. This is the goal of the right, by the way. This is the goal of the right. The right wants you not to be able to say that the president is bad. Okay? That's their ultimate goal. They want to make it so that it's literally illegal for you to say that the president is a rapist or the president is bad, the president is doing something wrong. That's what this entire project around violent rhetoric coming from the left is about. And I've said this over and over again. Just as the Mahmoud Khalil case wasn't necessarily about, like, you know, anti-Semitism, certainly, and it wasn't even just about Israel either. It wasn't about, like, preserving the feelings of Israel. It was about tackling. It was about opening the door to tackle the First Amendment. Okay? What Dana is doing here is leaning into the false right-wing framing. The notion that people who have held Trump accountable, are responsible for any sort of violent incident that takes place. The only reasonable solution in this circumstance would be to never criticize the president, right? Like, oh, well, if any and everything that we say is leading to random people behaving violently against the president, then I guess we can't say anything, right? We can't say anything about the president. Or the only thing we can say about the president is just positive things.
And do you think twice about that when something like this?
Ironically, you support Xi and his power, yet if Trump had that power, you would freak out. Dude says Mick Gibbon 401. I don't know if you've noticed this, but I'm not Chinese. You know, I jokingly say sometimes that I am, but I'm not. Okay? I'm not. And yes, I have actually unironically consistently talked about how the only takeaway from Chinese governance is repression for some weird fucking reason, and none of the high-speed rail. Were you just not listening to what I was saying when I was talking about that? Is not the point. The fact is you would criticize Trump if you would... What? What is this conversation? What is this argument? Will you ever give same attention to Albertans as you do other nationalities? Centrism is the ideology that wants calm. The heated rhetoric is people who say they don't care if he dies, bro. It's not the point. The fact is you would criticize Trump if you were a dictator. But okay, man. Trump is a fucking fascist. And he is currently in the process of moving the country towards a more authoritarian mode of governance. I am trying to reason with people to recognize that, but you, unfortunately, are too stupid to understand. Which China is already... Bro, do you live in China? Are you Chinese? Shut the fuck up. What the fuck does China have to do with anything that's going on in America right now? Are you Chinese? Are you trying to change the Chinese system? Go take it up and organize in China if you're fucking Chinese. No, I live in Canada. I'm saying they're a hypocrite. Oh my God. You're not even American. Oh my God. Sorry. See yourself out of this conversation, okay? What the fuck is happening? We got centrist Canadians going, well, what about China? Bitch, we're in America. We're talking about American shit right now. What the fuck? What the fuck does China have to do with this? And no, I have not actually defended any of the silly or even sometimes dangerous modes of repression that exist in the Chinese government. But guess what? I'm not fucking Chinese. I'm American. I don't want that to happen here. Meanwhile, your bitch ass, because of Mark's Carney, could just go on visa-free travel trips to China right now. Why don't you go exercise that freedom that you have? Go see how authoritarian and terrifying China is with your own two fucking eyes. Maybe you'll come back a changed man. Dumbass Alberta nationalist centrist Canadian coming in here talking about Alberta as a nationality. I swear to God, what the fuck is wrong with these right-wing Albertans who just want to be American, dude? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? I'm going to be honest. If I talk to an Albertan who was an Alberta separatist, who very clearly is LARPing as an American, I would probably lean into Mark Carney too. I'd be like, wow, this guy is a liberal. At least he's like, you know, intelligent. Unlike whatever the fuck I'm hearing right now from this Albertan separatist. Jesus Christ, dude. Go boof some Tim Hortons, you goddamn Ameriboo. It's so funny that we're in the process of talking about how Donald Trump is using any and every opportunity to make America more authoritarian, to undermine the First Amendment. And there's a Canadian in the chat going, well, what about China? I don't know, man. I didn't have a say in in protecting the Chinese Constitution or protecting and preserving free speech in China. Okay, I can't. It's a ridiculous thing to bring up right now. It's literally the equivalence of having your house catch on fire. You're sitting inside of the fucking house that's on fire. You're trying to put out the house, and the guy goes, "Hey, hold on." Your neighbor comes in to your burning house and goes, "Dude, don't worry about this right now. Why are you trying to put out your fucking house that's on fire? There are other houses that are on fire down the block." Well, bitch, I'm trying to fucking fix this house fire. What the fuck's wrong with you? Meanwhile, the guy you're in defense of here, that you're saying is not a dictator, wants to annex your country, but if you're an Albertan separatist, you probably want that to happen. God damn, have some fucking backbone, dude. Holy shit. Did he respond at all? I'm not responding because you are clearly not taking me seriously. Yes, dude. If you're an Alberta separatist, no one should take you seriously. And I'm glad that the Canadians don't take you seriously at all either. Okay? Why would I take you seriously? You talked about Albertan nationalism, and then you also fucking, in a conversation about America moving in an authoritarian direction, okay, taking serious steps to erode the First Amendment, as an American citizen and as a member of the media, right, an independent media member, I am very worried about this dangerous encroachment towards our First Amendment rights that is supposed to protect the free press, for example. And you, with your Albertan ass, are over here being like, I demand to be taken seriously, like you're fucking Michael Bluth. In the Magician's Guild. Or was it not Michael Bluth? Job. Forgive me for being defeatist, but we are fucked. When the center loses, we all lose. Oh my God. This guy is just a radical centrist. Defending the center for the love of the game, no matter where it is around the world. Oh my God. Canadians, I don't know how you deal with these motherfuckers that are Alberta nationalists, okay? I don't know how you deal with them. Good luck to all of you, okay? Dana Bash used their CNN platform to compare pro-Palestine student protesters to the Hitler Youth. I wonder if she thought twice about her heated rhetoric as peaceful protesters were getting brutalized by cops and abducted off the streets by ICE. Anyway, I could not believe it, but look at Jamie Raskin's response. Like, look, we're going to run this again.
Against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
But what rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talk.
He's like, what are you saying right now? Like, what rhetoric against the president have any mainstream Democrats entertained that is violent? Because if you ask the president, he's entertained maximalist violent rhetoric, right? He's called his opposition low IQ, especially when they're black or brown. He has routinely said people are vermin. Entire swaths of the population are parasitic and vermin. When it comes to immigrants, he talks about immigrants as though they're parasites. Kyle had the laundry list. He called the left enemy within. Scum, terrorists, vermin, radical, lunatics, demonic, evil, fascists, Marxist, communist, garbage, the enemy of the people, the enemy within, treasonous, animals, degenerates, Jew haters, lowlifes. And then we turn around and we're like, well, you know, the dangerous rhetoric coming from fucking Jamie Raskin is what we need to discuss today. Why? Because he hears that language and goes, that's unacceptable. That's the dangerous rhetoric. With this logic, any and every criticism of the president is dangerous rhetoric.
Talking about some of the fact that he, you know, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your democratic right.
He is terrible for this country. What are you saying? He is literally terrible for this country. Saying that correct statement is not dangerous rhetoric. As a matter of fact, I would go so far as say what Dana Bash is doing here is infinitely more dangerous rhetoric than what any mainstream Democrat elected representative has ever said about the motherfucking president. Correctly calling out and sometimes even not going hard enough against the president's very clear, undemocratic, illiberal attitude. It's so crazy because my criticism of the Democrats usually is that they don't go hard enough, right? I said Dem-electeds are far too restrained with their comments against Trump and the right, but these kinds of moments expose the insane double standard liberal media places on Dems. Everyone knows Trump is uniquely violent in his language. Criticizing the press is democracy, not incitement. Criticizing the president is democracy, not incitement. Stop sending me the Alberta separatist campaign. I'm not going to watch it, okay? Please, stop. And this is before we talk about the unbelievably genocidal rhetoric coming from the president when it comes to foreign policy.
But overall...
Yeah.
But I guess Dana agrees with that, so she doesn't have that much smoke for when you know Donald Trump is saying stuff like we're gonna fucking do a genocide on the Iranian civilization, we're gonna destroy Iranian civilization overnight.
Do you
I have
a
no
responsibility?
personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean,
That's also crazy. Jamie says, "Oh, I have no personal problem with Donald Trump." I do. I mean, he's literally best friends with rapist pedophiles. I think that constitutes reasonable grounds for having a personal resentment, having a personal problem.
talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where two of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good, Alex Preddy, and others have died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level of government, federal, state, local, all of it.
You're not going to get an argument from me on that. Before I let you go,
don't you think calling someone a National Socialist validates the use of violence against them? We're not going to play this fucking game, dude. If someone is a Nazi, you can call them a fucking Nazi, okay? The real problem in that instance is not someone correctly calling them a fucking Nazi. This is the same argument over and over again with like, oh, the real problem is not that I did something racist. The real problem is you called out my racism. What are you, a fucking NPC? Motherfuckers would be putting people in concentration camps and you go, that's a concentration camp. You're a fucking Nazi. And someone on the sidelines goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. Language, please. I feel like you're inciting. Bitch, the violence is happening already. The guy was anti-Austinox. Many such cases. There's also more. Scott Jennings also uses an opportunity to do the fuck Hassan pivot here. Incredible stuff.
This guy's obviously another of these left-wing lunatics who's come to kill the president. 3 assassination attempts on the president now. Charlie is dead. You have people on the left lionizing Luigi Mangione.
Well, there's a bar in Wisconsin.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
You have polling showing a tolerance for political violence on the left. And I heard Hakeem Jeffries say this week, it's maximum warfare.
Yeah, obviously when Hakeem Jeffries, the sexual panther himself, is saying that, he's talking about not direct acts of violence against Republicans. He's talking about fighting back against the administration's encroachments on the democratic process, for example, like fighting fire with fire. Like, for example, when the Trump administration says all of the voting that takes place in this country, as long as you're voting for a Democrat, is illegal and should be treated as such, we're going to fucking purge the voter rolls, or we're going to put ICE agents in polling stations. That's not violent rhetoric. We're not supposed to fucking push back against that. That's not insane rhetoric. We're not supposed to call it out. You can't say, hey, we got to fight back against this administration because you use the term fight. Shut the fuck up. None of this makes sense. It's also exceptionally insane to do this as a loud and proud, open Trump supporter. Yeah, I know. He blocked Sean. He boxed himself into radical centrism. The White House Correspondents' Dinner shooter had Sean blocked on Blue Sky. It's pretty funny.
All the time.
We are in an era of maximum warfare. Everywhere, all the time.
We have a violent streak on the left and a rhetoric problem on the left, and it must be acknowledged today.
When I was at the Department of Justice, what we found is after the 2020 election, there was a significant rise of threats to all elected leaders, state legislators, some who were killed, to our president, Joe Biden at the time, Barack Obama. Someone tried to go into his residence. This is a problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How many assassination attempts?
There are several assassination attempts to other presidents that were not successful. I agree. It should be.
You know what's funny about that? He's like, oh, 3. Okay. Ryan Ruth, former Trump voter. Okay. Butler, Pennsylvania, gave money to the Republicans. Extreme centrist again. Okay. All 3 of those attempts are people who just either didn't give a shit about either party or were former Trump supporters. Okay. Ryan Ruth voted for Donald Trump. Okay. Extreme NATO Andy. And then the guy the kid the barely teenager, new adult, I guess, whatever you want to fucking call it, that went down to Mar-a-Lago, was literally a Trump supporter, and then the Epstein stuff broke his fucking brain. There's a real issue here. Yeah, Thomas Crooks is the other one, who's, in Butler, Pennsylvania, who gave money to the Republicans. This is the first time you got another NATO Andy, an MSNBC liberal, who attempted something towards the president. But right now, it's not looking too good. You got 3 instances where people either formally voted for, formally supported the Republicans, or directly voted for Donald Trump, or were major supporters of Donald Trump, as opposed to the one guy who wasn't. Out of the 4 attempts, not 3, 4 attempts, 3 have been either defenders of the Republican Party or defenders of the president himself, or have literally voted for the president. This is the first time the guy actually had nothing to do with Trump and fucking hated him.
Investigated about why they continue.
Anyway, it's fucking unbelievable.
They're good people. They're very good people. I know the people well. I've been in that room many times. But, it's had difficulty in the past. And the new one is set not to have that kind of thing. All of the traps are knocked out. Mm-hmm. And this was designed at the highest level by the top military and Secret Service people. It's really it's a joint venture, really. And, presidents have wanted it for 150 years just because they wanted a big space. But military and Secret Service have wanted it for many years. And I'm getting it built. And the one good thing is that now everybody knows how badly needed it is.
Mr. President, you just credited, again, Secret Service for springing into action. As a person who witnessed it right alongside you on that stage, it happened within moments. But does it strike you, sir, that for 70-plus days now, the agency that they're under, DHS, has not been funded? Are you hopeful at all that this incident will force Congress to reach an agreement to fund that agency that protected your life last night?
That's right. And other agencies, too. Other great agencies that, brave patriots, they're great people. They have a rough job, not an easy job. When you have to stop murderers and get them out of our country, when you have to take people out of the country who murdered 7 people or 5 people or 1 person that was released from a jail in, a country someplace. A lot of them came from Venezuela. A lot of them came from other countries. They came in from the Congo. This was under Biden's open door policy. It was terrible. I mean, we can try and make it nice and all, but there's nothing nice about it. So we have people that are doing an incredible job of removing these people and just getting them out of the country or putting them in jail where they have to be. These are violent people, drug dealers, drug lords were allowed without checking, without anything, but murderers. Over 11,888 murders were let into our country with Joe Biden's open door policy. And, these are the people that are getting them out. This is a tough job. These are nasty people that were let in, rough, tough people. And by the way, in many cases, very smart. These assassins, they seem to be high IQ people, but they're crazy. And so Secret Service and all of the different groups. You look at Border Patrol, you look at ICE. I mean, ICE is so incredible. Border Patrol is so incredible. And, they have a hard time being recognized for the job they do. I'm very proud to recognize them. I mean, I think I had 100% of the vote of law enforcement. But, it sort of showed last night. When you were there. You did a great job last night. By the way, I watched it when I got back. And you saw what was going on. I mean, there was the strength and the power. Nobody was getting in, and even if they got into the room, they were going to be hit fast. But no, they didn't even get close to getting to those doors, or he didn't.
I was really taken, Mr. President.
They took him out so quickly. Now, it's a tough thing, though, when you have a hotel in the middle of a city with buildings all around and hotel rooms on top of you. And, it's
very smart people are trying to kill me is an interesting thing to say. Yeah. That was interesting. Another thing that is interesting is he keeps saying, like, the more people try to kill me, the more I see my importance. It's like, you're the president, man. Yeah, of course you're important. Like, what is this? I've read, it's just all the greatest, all the goats, They tried to kill them. They want to kill you when you do something. This is why we need a ballroom. I forgot to finish the Scott Jennings clip, but here.
Problem.
Who's the president?
Hold on.
How
I
many
understand.
assassination attempts?
There are several
3.
assassination attempts
3.
to other presidents that were not successful. I agree. It should be investigated about why they continue. What are the failures of the Secret
Yes,
Service?
and the
moving forward?
Democratic, just quickly, the Speaker of the House in Minnesota, a Democrat, lost her life to political violence this past summer. This is not solely a problem on the left. It is a problem across the board. It is a rising crisis.
Don't downplay it this
It is
morning.
a rising
Charlie,
crisis in this
Luigi,
country.
Stop generalizing
and
the
it's
left.
appalling.
And stop generalizing the left as the
polling
entire left.
candidates
Hold on,
campaigning with Hassan
listen
Piker.
to me.
Buddy. Even my most out of context moments put together in a compilation doesn't meet the standard of an average Republican and what they say. Okay? Like an elected representative. Okay? Damn, they on your dick? Yeah. Do you understand? This is CNN, by the way. Remember, this is fucking CNN. Like, it blows my fucking mind. The way that Republicans get away with saying whatever the fuck they want is so unbelievable. They're elected representatives. They have a lot more power than I do. Okay? By the way, a fan clip of you on IG covering the shooting is popping off with nearly 1 million views already. Erica made another drive-by cry. Stage assassination. Getting cucked at a stage assassination attempt event is wild. Fake and not even faked well. Oh my God, I keep forgetting Cheryl Hines is married to RFK Jr. Cucked by her handler. Dude, it's crazy. No one cares.
Stop generalizing the left, as the left is the
You can be
entire
mad at me
problem.
all you want.
I'm not
It's
mad
on.
at you,
We have a left
Scott.
wing
I want
issue.
you to be truthful.
Hannity's guest said 2 days ago, someone should rip your vocal cords out. Oh, yeah, that's true. Dude, Sean Hannity's guest on his radio show literally said she wanted to rip my vocal cords out or someone should do it. Mark Levin, literally a day ago said someone should just go to his house and do something about it. Same with Greg Buttfeld. Like, people are genuinely talking about how I should get fucking assassinated all the goddamn time. Yeah, Greg Buttfeld talking about coming to my house and testing my locks. And it's so crazy. Like, I'm the recipient of 1 million death threats, okay? And especially in times like this, where these guys will turn around and be like, you know what the real problem in American society is? Now that the president was almost assassinated again, Hassan Piker is the real issue here. Whenever Republicans do that shit, I get 1 million fucking death threats, okay? And it's just unfortunately a byproduct of, you know, being a political operative in this goddamn country. You don't see me fucking complaining. What do you want me to do? Yeah,
How
here
many
it is.
families were lost, broken, shattered. And now you're going to bring on the guy who said America deserved it. I'm sorry, that guy doesn't get a voice. In fact, I would like him to have no vocal cords at all.
What?
I don't think he should be talking, period.
Now you sound like him. Do you want to rip out his vocal cords?
Yeah, why don't I? He likes to say hyperbole and sarcasm is what he means when he says,
What?
that this.
Political violence is appropriate when it's in one direction, okay? This is what I mean. Have you thought about publishing the amount of death threats you get? No, I don't care. Fucking, it's bullshit. It's just, the difference is like, we know the right wing actively talks about, you know, killing us. Anyway.
It's a tough situation, but I thought Secret Service and law enforcement, includes D.C. police, law enforcement was great. I really thought they were great, I would be the first to complain if they.
Why do you LARP as a socialist when you're a millionaire? To fuck with you. Why do you LARP as a capitalist when you have no capital and you're dead broke? Answer that question. Where's your capital, bitch? Show me the deed to the factory right now. Show me the deed. Present me the deed to your factory right now. You are not a boss. At most, maybe in a managerial role, serving agents of capital, owners of capital. Why are you defending this system that is undermining you every day? Motherfuckers be making 50 grand a year, hoping that they will become a regional manager of McDonald's, being like, we got to defend the system, dude. This system has been bountiful for me.
Believe me, they were looking at me probably more than anybody else.
Roach logs?
The administration. And the guy is a sick guy. When you read his manifesto.
Europe is crumbling and voting won't change a thing, sadly. Oh, of course. What do you think about the Orthodox Christianity? Gesundheit Kasche. Lol, that's the health insurance. Jawohl. Why do you LARP as a socialist? While you are so rich, yeah. Why do you do this? Why do you LARP as a socialist when you're a millionaire? Where you at, contempt? Where you at? Why do you LARP as the Amerikanisch when you're very clearly a Deutschlander? Yeah. Österreich. Oh, yeah, very nice. I like to take advantage of the 65% public-owned housing. I love it. I love living in the public housing in the Rot Vienna, while simultaneously criticizing attempts towards more equitable outcomes in the America. Yeah, jawohl. Yeah. What happened? Österreich. I love the public housing. Not only do you LARP as a capitalist without owning any capital, you are actually most likely a beneficiary of one of the most comprehensive socialized housing initiatives in the established Western developed nations. Okay? Unbelievably cucked. I love living in the social democracy and consistently undermine it, yeah. It's so good. I love being the Eurocock. One day we will be under the banner of American protectorate. It's okay. My social safety nets are being taken away from me, but I love the idea that it's actually... I pay 900 euros rent, though, but socialism destroyed half of Europe, inclusive Austria. Again. Oh, my God. Socialism destroyed Österreich until 68, yeah. Then about a month ago, I worked in the Ministry of National Defense in a European country, and it's a fact that the second bombing run to finish the job is not a war crime. Restriking is a standard military practice. Oh, socialism. Socialism in Austria. I just gave you definitionally one of the only initiatives backed by socialists in Vienna. where 65% of all readily available housing is owned by the government, is public housing, where rents are unbelievably affordable in comparison to everywhere else. And even though they're rising there too, there's issues everywhere, not because of socialism, but because of capitalism. And you're over here fucking complaining. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. We should privatize it further so I can pay 3,000 euros. Yeah.
That's one thing for sure.
But at least I'll sleep soundly at night knowing that no Pakistani is going to also be living in the apartment complex down the street.
Sure. He hates Christians, a hatred. And I think his sister or his brother actually was complaining about it. You know, they were even complaining to law enforcement. So he was a very troubled guy.
I was taken by your response immediately after it happened. You said, we're going to continue the night. We're not going to let this person derail our plans for the evening.
Right.
Had you been told very quickly that there was no additional threat in the room? Is that why you felt comfortable proceeding if Secret Service allowed that to happen?
Well, I hated a guy like this, sick, bad person. I hated somebody like that changing the course of our country. You know, where you'd have all of these people, important people, not important people, all of these people gathered, record crowd. We had a record crowd last night. And you and the people that put it on did a fantastic job, really. But that all of these people would have to leave, you know, just for what? For one nut, for one guy that is really, I mean, look, he's a very disturbed person. So I really wanted to go, and I really wanted to. But the protocol was no. And, you know, once those doors were open, that room was sealed. And once the doors were open, because people were pouring in, and they were police, and they were Secret Service, and they poured in a lot of them. But once those doors are open, it breaks the seal. Mm-hmm. And when they explained it, you know, maybe it's possible somebody, if it were more than one person, somebody could have come in. And but I really wanted to do it that night, even if we stayed late into the night. But we did the right thing, and we came back to the White House. We did a news conference and explained what happened. And now we're doing it a little bit more by talking to you. But we did the right thing. Now, I hope that we can have it within a short period of time.
Trump famously hates using violence to change the constitutional course, except on January 6th, and also basically every other day that he is alive, okay? He has been... It's not like it was just relegated to January 6th where he was trying to utilize violence or violent rhetoric. He's done it every single day before January 6th and every single day after January 6th. There's, as a matter of fact, never been a day. These last 24 hours might be the only time where this motherfucker hasn't been talking in a violent manner. It is exceptional when he doesn't talk about things in a violent way. And I guess it's because he has high spirits right now because he feels like everyone's going to love him for, I don't know, the next 48-hour media cycle.
And whether it's 30 days or a little less, a little more. But I hope we can do it with that because we can't let these criminals and these really bad people change the course of events in our country. We have to, you know, it's an important event. That was going to be an important event. I mean, I was going to get up and make an entirely different speech. I was going to really rip it last night. I was talking about everybody. And then they said, well, my speech is going to be much different. It'll be a speech of love. But I didn't get a chance to do that. Probably I was better off if I didn't. I don't know. But I think it's important. And, you know, your president who headed chairman or president, she did really a good job. I was sad in a way because she worked so hard. And she's a good person. Mm-hmm. CBS, as you know, was the lead. Mm-hmm. I think you're going to be the lead next year.
That's
but
right.
I think it's very, and I look forward to in the year 28. You're going to have a ballroom that's the top of the line security. You're not going to have problems like this.
What's the latest that you've learned, Mr. President, about this alleged shooter's motive? Do you know how long he was planning this for?
Well, they have some pretty good information. He had a lot of hatred in his heart for quite a while. And he just, I don't know, it was a religious thing. It was strongly anti-Christian. And I don't know if you've gotten it, just got released, a manifesto. He said a manifesto, can you believe it? And so he's got some big problems with the rest of his life. But it's very, very bad, bad situation. But his family knew that he had difficulty, and his family seemed to be, I think they spent a lot of time with his family. His family said he had big difficulty. Maybe they should have reported him a little bit more strongly, probably. But it's a hard thing to do, I guess.
How did he get? He ain't Christian. He has debate lorded atheism in the past. That's why I say he's a radical centrist debate lord.
As you're trying to learn more about how this man's ideology was shaped.
Yeah, he's like a Redditor liberal, dude. Oh my God, we got to find his Reddit account.
It makes me think about
that. Will truly give us insight.
FISA.
In his manifesto, he clearly says he's a Christian. No, I've seen posts from him, like calling out right-wing Christianity, and I think like I don't think he's. I think he, like they said that his I think he said something along the lines of like he was critical, like they said in his manifesto there was anti-Christian sentiment.
The surveillance tool that expires this coming week. It obviously allows the FBI to surveil potential terrorists who are overseas. And we don't know right now if this individual was radicalized by somebody like that. But do you think about the importance of having these tools to protect our country from these kinds of threats? And how will you get that message to Congress when there's a Congress right now that's skeptical about renewing those powers?
Well, Jackie, I know both sides of it because FISA was used against me and very, very viciously by a dirty cop. You know, we had the Comey gang, Comey and his remnants, and it was used against...
I will always repeat this. There's nothing funnier than Jim Comey perhaps being the most responsible singular figure that allowed Trump to be president in 2016. But because he refused to play ball with Trump after, he became a liberal media darling, and Trump hates him forever. It'll never not be funny. Like Jim Comey, we forget. Jim Comey is perhaps the most responsible figure, like as a singular force, when he made that decision a couple days before the election to reopen the Hillary Clinton case and then openly publicize that he reopened the Hillary Clinton case. Absolutely played a major role in the downfall of the Clinton campaign. Like, obviously, it shouldn't have been that close to begin with because Clinton was a historically weak candidate. But if we're talking about like singular world-changing events, he might have genuinely pushed it over the line. And it's so funny that Donald Trump still hates him.
Me, and they used it very illegally. I mean, they signed court orders that were illegal. Mm-hmm. Every one of those people should be prosecuted. Frankly, it was used against me. Now that's the bad news. The good news is that the military really needs it, and it's really needed for national security. And there's a division, but I was willing to give that up, because again, it was used against me more than anybody else, and by bad people, by sick people also. These are sick people. Comey was terrible. He was a horrible, sick person. He had real problems. And I use the word to describe him. He was a dirty cop. It's an old-fashioned term, but he was a dirty cop, bad guy. And there were other bad guys. And they used Pfizer illegally. They used it for a purpose that wasn't supposed to be used for. Okay. On the other side, you have the military. They really need it. General Raisin Cain. Look at the success we had in Venezuela. Look at the success we're having with Iran. I mean, Iran is decimated. And we got a lot of information by using Pfizer. I think we would have been very successful regardless, but it made the job a lot safer and a lot easier. So I would say, and what I've done, and I've told people, I'm willing to give up my security for the military, because ultimately that's, to me, the highest cause is the safety of our nation. So, I'm in favor of it, but, I'm in favor of it knowing it was used against me unsuccessfully, ultimately, because I ended up winning. But it was a vicious thing that happened. However, we need it for the military, so we have to hopefully get it approved in some very strong form.
And I think the irony is that the section that you're referencing that was used, the Carter Page FISA warrants, that's Title I of FISA, which is permanent law. It does not need to be renewed. That's on the books. What expires is Section 702 that specifically pertains to suspected terrorists, foreigners living abroad outside the United States that our intelligence community needs to surveil to monitor for any threats that might come to the home.
Bro, the intelligence community needs to monitor his former fans, okay? This is the first time it's not a former fan, but just a straight up hater. I'm just saying, if you want to take this seriously, if you want to prevent further Trump assassination attempts, you should probably take a close look at people who are really into Trump, voted for Donald Trump, and have fallen out of favor with Donald Trump because of, the Epstein files, or I guess maybe because of his dealings with Ukraine, as in the case of Ryan Ruth. I'm just saying,
Homeland.
It's a 4 out of 1 doesn't necessarily mean that the left is responsible for the overwhelming number of attempts here.
And when you're thinking about the heightened threat environment and something that you live in every day, this is now, you've had multiple attempts on your life. You're, at the end of the day, a human being with a family. And I just want to know what the conversation was between you and your family members last night after you left the premises.
Well, they sort of said to me, you have a dangerous job. I've known that. I didn't know it was quite as dangerous when I ran very innocently for president, but I'm very happy with the job we've done. And, consequential, really, if you're a consequential president, you're in much more danger than if you're not a consequential president. Most presidents are not very consequential. They don't do the job that they're supposed to be doing. I mean, we have to stop Iran from having a nuclear weapon because the whole world would be in danger. We would.
Where does that stand?
The Middle East would get blown up. Israel would get blown up within minutes from the time they got it. So we can't let Iran have a nuclear weapon. So this should have been done by previous presidents. It should have been done for years. 47 years it's been going on, and nobody did anything about it. We had to do that. I took the greatest economy we've ever had, and I said, we're going to have to take a little detour and stop that from happening. And that's what happened, and we've done a great job, and it'll come to an end very soon, and we're going to be very victorious. But they cannot have a nuclear weapon. So when you do that, no other president was willing to do it. They should have done it. It would have been a lot easier because they had far fewer arms and far less power. If you did it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago, they had far less power. But we've taken that power away from them, and we've done a good job. But we had to do it. Otherwise, our country would have been very unsafe, as with the world. It would have been very unsafe.
Where do those negotiations stand right now on Iran?
Well, I called them back, our people. The flight is about 17 hours. We have great respect for the Field Marshal of Pakistan and for the Prime Minister of Pakistan. They're great people. They really are good. But it's a 17, 18-hour flight. I said, when is this meeting taking place? And it was going to be on Tuesday, and it was Saturday, and they're leaving, and by the time they get there, it's hours and hours and hours of flying. And I said, we're not doing this anymore. We have all the cards. If they want to talk, they can come to us, or they can call us. There is a telephone. We have nice, secure lines, although I'm not sure any telephone line is secure, frankly. But we have secure lines, and if they want, we can talk. but we're not sending people to travel 18 hours to meet where you literally think of this. We had a meeting for Tuesday.
I didn't even want it. We got a Robert Evans run through his account. Well, guess what? He also was a Robert Evans fan as well. So I went through this, and his account is extremely normal, liberal, progressive stuff. He mostly reposted and shared news about Ukraine fundraisers and the like. His few posts are about that and his dislike of AI as a teacher. Yeah. He was a very typical blue sky liberal. He definitely tends more towards liberal than far left. He shared a post during the Hasan shoplifting discourse that suggests he reacted negatively to Hasan's arguments in that article. He also shared a recent post that was pretty clearly anti-firearms ownership, a little hypocritical. He shared several posts related to the correspondence dinner, all of them very critical of the journalists who attended. His posting diet was otherwise very normal and largely followed on some big accounts on here. He shared Ben Collins making a joke about Blue Sky activating an emergency pervert filter. He shared my post laughing about the Pope being soft on crime. He shared a lot of Will Stancil posts. Yeah, he's leaving out that he's a NAFO guy. Yeah, he was definitely a NAFO guy. He was one of the Blue Sky. He was very big on NATO and Ukraine. Weird because it is kind of similar to Ryan Ruth in some respects. And David Cleon is right. If you spend a lot of time on Blue Sky, you know the vibe there is way more radicalized and bloodthirsty than the vibe on left Twitter. Which, by the way, I need you to understand something. This is why I always laugh when like liberal accounts on Twitter, like right-wing centrist, former Republican accounts are like, this is not how angry normal people are. You have no idea. Okay? It's ironic because the clip that the Republicans and sometimes former Republicans who are now liberals keep showing of my conversation with Taylor Lorenz talking about how angry people are and how we should take that anger and use it for productive outlets like organizing to develop a better American society. That clip that they constantly circulate around is actually addressing how much animosity is bubbling up amongst regular liberals. The example I'm using in that conversation was literally old ass people calling up their elected representatives and giving their actual home address and government ID to make death threats towards Tom Tillis. And that was almost a year ago. That was right at the beginning. People have only gotten more mad. What you were describing is absolutely true, which is why it's even funnier to me that someone like Sarah Longwell, who literally does focus groups with these people, acts like this isn't the case. Yeah. Luckily for Will Stancil, Republicans are currently more focused on you than him. Yeah, exactly. What is this? That isn't my problem. If you want to say there are code words, but it isn't looking into, that's valid. Denying that they use code words. What is this guy still arguing about? Oh my God. Is this guy still arguing about the pizza stuff? Please, chatter. I fear that you're going down a dangerous pipeline. Okay. Just pull yourself out of whatever groups that you're participating with on the internet.
Tuesday, and it was on Saturday that I was saying, when are we meeting? Tuesday, because it's so far. So great respect for Pakistan, but I will, because they've been terrific. They've really tried, and they'll stay involved. But we're going to do it by telephone. So if they want, they can call us. But again, they know what has to be in the agreement. Very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon. Otherwise, there's no reason to meet.
You have said, Mr. President, that you're in no rush to reach a deal, in part because the infighting between the moderates in what's left of the government and the hardliners further sort of fractures what's left of the regime, and that also in a matter of days, their oil vessels, their tankers, their production system will explode. And Can you talk about the advantage that that gives the U.S. in terms of waiting this out and how time is on the U.S. side of this negotiation?
Well, I don't know if it's an advantage. I think the big advantage is that we've taken out their Navy in its entirety. We've taken out their Air Force. They have no Air Force left. They have no Navy left. Their leaders are gone, which is a good thing. They were far more radicalized than the people that we're dealing with now. The people we're dealing with now, some of them are very reasonable people, and others are not. And they're not getting along. You know, there's a lot of infighting, as you know. Mm-hmm. But, you know, they don't have anti-aircraft equipment. They don't have radar equipment. It's all been blown up. Their factories, their missile-making factories have been damaged about 75%, which isn't 100%, so there's danger there. And their drone-making ability has been damaged about 80%, 82%. They're in bad shape. I mean, they're really in bad shape. And, of course, we've done the blockade, and the blockade's been unbelievably effective, and that means they can't get any more money. But what you're referring to is that when you have, you know, lines of vast amounts of oil pouring through your system, if for any reason that line is closed because you can't continue to put it into containers or ships, which has happened to them, they have no ships because of the blockade. What happens is that line explodes from within, both mechanically and in the earth. Something happens where it just explodes. And they say they only have about 3 days left before that happens. And when it explodes, you can never, regardless, you can never rebuild it the way it was. In other words, it will always be, if you rebuild it, it's hard to rebuild it all, but it would only be about 50% of what it is right now. So it's a very powerful thing that takes place, sort of having to do with nature. But when that gets clogged at the end, in other words, when you have to turn it off because you have no place to store this oil, either put it on ships or storage tanks, which they are just about finished with, a very bad thing is going to happen. So I think they're under pressure. But
yeah, good thing. Hey, look at our non-violent president, dude. I love listening to our non-violent president engage in non-violent rhetoric. It's awesome.
I don't consider it under pressure. I think the big pressure is that we've really militarily, our military is incredible. I rebuilt and built our military in my first term, and we also did a lot of work in this first year. You see, we're asking for $1.2 and $1.5 trillion, and we have the greatest military in the world by far. And, you know, we've proven that in Venezuela. We've proven it here. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, I hope they're going to be smart. And if they're not smart, we're going to win anyway.
So 3 days from now, approximately, their oil production system could explode. Obviously, that would do great damage to the main source of revenue.
One of the testaments to how much violent rhetoric Donald Trump engages in on a regular basis is the fact that every time I refresh my timeline, I hear yet another thing that Trump had said that I had forgotten. One that I recently saw was how Donald Trump had celebrated the brutal murder of Rob Reiner. Okay. Another one that I remember is when he celebrated the death of Robert Mueller. Like, it's so funny. You forget because he does it every single day. So you oftentimes forget way more instances where he has either celebrated violence or demanded violence. Like, there is not a day that goes by where Trump is not talking about being violent to his political opposition. Okay? Not a single day. So it's so funny when these guys will then turn around and be like, oh, we got to turn down the rhetoric. The left is the real violence. The real violence is coming from the left over and over again. And now what's even funnier is when they're saying the left is engaging in conspiracies. Brother, you're a Republican. You're a Trump supporter. What are you talking about? It's unfucking believable, dude. There's never been an instance where the Republicans haven't pounced on any official narrative and immediately called it, immediately leaned into conspiracy theories, blaming a litany of factors, trans people, Antifa, Joe Biden, you know? They still say the election was stolen. Trump still says the election was stolen from him in 2020. He did January 6th. It's so crazy to me.
In Iran and have a big impact on the trajectory of things. I know you've also been expressive about your displeasure with our allies and NATO in their response to this. And on Monday, tomorrow, King Charles is visiting, and Buckingham Palace issued a statement on the incident last night saying His Majesty is being kept fully informed of developments and is greatly relieved to hear that the President, First Lady, and all guests have been unharmed. So that message from Buckingham Palace about what you went through last night. Are your plans for the King's visit remaining as they were? Will anything change as a result of what happened yesterday?
Yeah, that's a big question you're asking. You got a lot of little points in there. You're doing a weave on me, like I do all the time. That's a big question. First of all, King Charles is coming, and he's a great guy, and we look forward to it. He's really a fantastic person and a tremendous representative. And he's brave. You know, he's fought something that's very tough to fight. He's got a problem with, as you know, that very well documented problem with his health. And he's been amazing, actually. He's very brave, actually. And he's a friend of mine for a long time. So he's coming, and we're going to have a great time. And he represents his nation like nobody else can do it. As far as NATO, I am very, very disappointed in NATO because they weren't there. You know, we spend trillions of dollars on NATO, trillions, in order to protect Europe from Russia. And we've always been there, and we would always be there. And they can't do it without us. And yet, when we wanted a little help, and we didn't need any help, we did it without any help. We didn't really need. And to be honest, I don't even think I've ever said this before, but I really sort of asked them just out of curiosity because I'd like to see if they would be there. You know, we've wiped out, largely wiped out the opposition. If we ever had to keep going, we'd wipe them out very quickly. The rest of it, the remainder. And I hope we don't have to do that, but it may be possible that we do. You know, they have no cohesion. Their leadership is very, very strange. Sometimes you don't have any idea who the hell you're dealing with. But it's just, you know, one of these things that we're gonna get it. We're gonna win. But NATO was not there for us. And I would ask, would you like to join us? And they said, sir, we don't want to get involved. And yeah, they said, we don't want to get involved. And frankly, when they said we don't want to get involved, as you know, UK said that, oh, no, we'll send ships as soon as the war is over. And that's not good. That's not good. We just can't have that. So we are not happy. Let me put it this way, just finish it up. We are not happy with NATO. NATO did not serve us well. We've been serving them for many years, spending trillions of dollars. And when we wanted a little help, they were not there. So we have to remember that.
Do you expect to talk about this with King Charles? And do you believe that, I mean, they have intelligence in their countries. Your administration has spoken at length about the fact that Iran had enough enriched uranium to build 11 nuclear bombs. That sounds like pretty compelling information for an intelligence agency to shape their response to something. Do you get the sense that the intelligence agencies of our allies had the same view of that threat and communicated that well enough with the U.S.?
Well, I don't know. I think people knew they had a lot of stuff because we blew it up with the B-2 bombers. If we didn't go in there 7-8 months ago with those beautiful B-2 bombers, that's the wing, very, very incredible stealth, incredible technology. We actually ordered 22 more of the new version. They're unbelievable. But we went in there at 1 o'clock in the morning, no moon, dark. Every single bomb hit the target and blew it up. If we didn't do that, they would have had a nuclear weapon. But everybody knew they had it. I mean, pretty much every country that knew anything knew they had it. The problem was it should have been done by other presidents because they had it a long time. They were developing it for a long time. And they were about 2 weeks away from having a nuclear weapon until we blew it up. So, part of the thing is we have to take that I call it the nuclear dust, right? But we have to take that nuclear dust. We're going to take it. And that's part of our negotiation with Iran. We don't want them to have it. We feel we'll help Iran. We'll do a lot of things, but they cannot have a nuclear weapon because they'll use it. And we're not going to let somebody use a nuclear weapon, blow up the Middle East, blow up Israel, blow up Europe. We're the furthest away, but we're doing the world a service.
Do you believe China's helping Iran right now? You're supposed to meet with President Xi in a couple of weeks. What's the latest there? What's your communication?
I don't think
with him?
much. I think they may be helping, but I don't think much. I can tell you this, they could help a lot more. I'm not overly disappointed. We help people too when, they would say, no, well, what about China? What about Russia? What about this, that? Well, we also help people. We help Ukraine as an example. And we shouldn't have done it to the extent, and the war should have never started. Would have never started if I were president. And, it's a bloodbath over there. It's horrible. So many soldiers are being killed. It's incredible. It's just crazy, actually. But, you could make the case, well, we help Ukraine, and I don't mention that to too many people, but I mentioned it to you. So, no, I think China could...
This is also funny. Yeah, Ben Stiller got it done. Got what done, says Nancy Mays. Ben Stiller was talking about basketball, and people were like, oh, you did this. You did this act of violence against our big, beautiful president. Dude, I'm fucking crying. He's just trying to tweet about basketball. Here comes this unhinged lunatic. Knicks was moving crazy last night. There's gonna have to be a point where we address the elephant in the room, that there is a significant crisis with the mental faculties of a decent chunk of the American population, a decent chunk of the American electorate. And I'm not kidding when I say this, like, we are at the mercy of their sometimes schizophrenic hallucinations. That is the future that America is moving in the direction of. The lunatics are running the asylum, but they always have? No. This is definitely... You're definitely unaware. 30% of the country is insane and the rest of the country hates that 30%. It isn't a healthy recipe for society. Yeah, what did he know? Careful, Chief. They're going to think you're saluting the Iranian army. Ben Stiller. Is he saluting the IRGC? Is he saluting Galibaf, the parliament? The speaker of the Iranian parliament? What did he know? What does he know? What has he done? It's like, that's where we're at now. What was this? Tim Miller got yelled at. Think it's kind of weird that Raskin gets bullied into saying he doesn't have a personal problem with Trump. Is that true? Oh, yeah. Words aren't violence. Heated rhetoric is part of democracy. Saying someone is terrible doesn't mean you want them shot. We can be grown-ups. I'm sorry, you and your organization have spent the last week saying that journalists should not even sit down with the president for a pleasant dinner. That is an annual tradition. You are absolutely part of the problem. Yes, my position is that reporters shouldn't get dressed up in a tux to have some laughs with a terrible president. I also oppose trying to shoot the president or anyone. These opinions coexist very easily if you don't have a baby brain. Dude, I mean, he's right. He's literally right. Like, what the fuck is this question? Also, what do you mean? Like, why are you bullying this guy for having having a different opinion, basically? Like, you're literally trying to say You're trying to say, dude, it's so insane. You're trying to claim that having a different opinion on reporters going and yucking it up with the fucking fascist president is bad. It's bad looks. It's bad optics, right? At most, that's what Tim Miller is saying, right? Is also somehow responsible for the assassination attempts against the president. You're an insane person, Daily Wire reporter. It's so crazy. You're like, not only do you have a baby brain, you're behaving like a baby, but you're also an insane baby. You're not a boss baby, okay? You're a crazy baby.
Could have been much worse than they've been. So I don't consider them having been very bad.
You reference Ukraine. Have you spoken with President Putin at all recently? Where does that negotiation stand?
We're trying to get something done, but the fighting continues. And it's a very bloody war. It's a very bad. I settled 8 wars. This is one that I thought I would have had the easiest time. The hatred between President Putin and President Zelensky is ridiculous. It's crazy. And hate is a bad thing. Hate is a bad thing when you're trying to settle something. So, but it'll happen. It'll happen.
What was the last conversation you had with Putin?
Well, I don't want to reveal that, but I do have conversations with him, and I do have conversations with President Zelensky, and good conversations. But I've settled all these wars, including India, Pakistan. That could have been a nuclear war. I settled it at the very beginning, just before they shot down. 11 planes were shot down already. It was going to be a tragic. The Prime Minister of Pakistan said I saved from 30 to 50 million lives. It could have been more than that. But it's my honor to do it. But we're working on the Russia situation, Russia and Ukraine, and hopefully we're going to get it, Jackie. Hopefully we're going to get it. That's the one. I would have thought that was, because of relationships, I would have thought that would have been the easiest one, and it really is the most difficult. And it's not as complex as some of the other ones I've settled very quickly.
Mm-hmm. We've talked a lot about issues overseas. I want to get your thoughts on some issues here at home. Your reaction to Virginia and redistricting, do you think that Florida should make a go at it?
I do, but I think the Virginia case is terrible. What they've done is so, it's unconstitutional. It's before the court. You know, the courts accepted that case. And if you look at the referendum and if you look at the question, it was not understandable. It was written in such a way that nobody understands what it meant, including nobody knows.
So were you surprised to see it go that way?
I was very impressed with the fact that, because I happen to think that there are a lot of cheating going on in Virginia, frankly, and they were leading all day long. We were leading, meaning I guess you'd call it the Republicans. And I said, when do you see the end? All of a sudden there was a ballot drop. But the courts have taken it up, and the courts are looking at it, and they're looking at it, I think, very strongly. A lot of people said it's totally unconstitutional. You can't let it. And it wasn't understandable. In other words, when people got in, they read that question, or if they sent it in, they read the question, and the question it could have been viewed 5 different ways. So let's see what happens in the courts. But the courts have actually accepted it. That's a big move.
I think what you say about Israel being at its most popular state can be said about Trump as well. The longer his second term goes on, the more and more the average person will hate him. I mean, this literally happened in the last administration as well, the last Trump administration. Trump says he did not fall down during the shooting.
The security moving.
That's awesome.
Quickly, within seconds, grabbing the vice president by his coat, lifting him up, bringing him out. Then the counter assault comes in. Took 10 seconds for them to flank you, Mr. President. And then
yeah, they noticed it too. That was interesting. They picked up JD before they picked the president up. That was odd. I was doing a barrel roll, not because I look like a barrel, but because I wanted to stop, drop, and roll like I'm on fire, just like this country, which is on fire from the standpoint of heat. Hot! Hotter than ever before.
20 seconds to get you out. It looked chaotic. At one point, you were down. What was happening?
Well, what happened?
Yeah. What happened is I meant to fall. Many people are saying it was very impressive how athletic I am. As you know, I'm 220 pounds and 6'4". Very athletic. I don't waste any of my battery.
It was a little bit me. I wanted to see what was happening. And I wasn't making it that easy for him. I wanted to see what was going on.
He's like, I wanted to scope out the scene. I wanted to identify the shooter if he was around and maybe deal with him myself. Dude, he's such a perfect American president. Okay? This is literally like, he's a couch guy. Okay? You know those guys who sit on the couch and engage in armchair quarterbacking or armchair general behavior? Like the average American who just sits there with his crusty fucking boxers and is like, oh, dude, if I was in that situation, I would have behaved totally differently. Like, he's doing that right now. He's like, yeah, I was looking around. I wanted to monitor the situation. I wanted to see where the shooter was. Maybe throw some mean looks his way. Maybe deal with it myself.
And by that time, we started to realize maybe it was a bad problem, different kind of a problem, bad one, and different than what would be.
As opposed to a good problem.
Normal noise from a ballroom, which you hear all the time. And I was surrounded by great people. And I probably made them act a little bit more slowly. I said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, no, what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking. And they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down. And First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking.
Oh, shit. They found his archived tweets. Uh-oh. Turns out he was a Midas touch guy, too. Breaking, I found Cole Allen's archived tweets. He predicted Kamala wins all swing states, compared Trump's win to Nazis getting elected. I mean, he was right about that. He was wrong about Kamala winning the swing states. And moved to blue sky. Scary part, he retweeted every mainstream Democrat on this platform. Thread below. What radicalized him were the same talking points repeated every day on the left. Yeah, his Reddit is boring. It's just like mostly engineering and AI related. The only thing humorous about America not having learned from Germany about what happens when Nazis get elected is that Russia may not have learned from the USSR about what happens when it makes agreements with the Nazis. Oh my God, he is 100p big time anti-communist. Based on Iowa predicting Kamala wins all swing states and at least 3 red states. Retweeted by Midas Touch. Breaking, Taylor Swift endorses VP Kamala Harris. Like many of you, I watched the debate tonight. Trump's Project 2025 would eliminate the independence of the DOJ. Okay, he was right. Why are you showing him cooking? If your point is to somehow make this guy look bad, you shouldn't show his correct positions. Cole Allen shared mainstream Democrat politician posts like AOC, J.B. Pritzker, Senator Warren, Senator Whitehouse. Trump is breaking the law. It's true. Prepare for a tsunami of plunder and corruption. Also true. Cole Allen retweeted mainstream Democrats comparing Trump to Hitler. Also true. After the 2024 election, Cole Allen believed the mainstream Democrat narrative that the fascist convicted felon had become president. Again, true. He shared Bill Kristol's belief. Ooh. Bulwark boys. Kind of feels like he was leaning more into your side of the radical Democratic spectrum than my side. Just saying. Sarah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Sarah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Sarah. Listen. Sarah Longwell, very mean, very nasty about me. Very nasty. Constantly saying nasty things. These radical centrists. Do I condemn Sarah Longwell? Brave take. But some of her takes I do condemn and some I do not. Sarah Longwell incited his violence. Come on, man. Tweet it. No, I'm not going to do that, dude. Shut up. Cole Allen shared Democrat conspiracy popular articles, including claims that Trump staged the Butler assassination. Oh, he's an assassination truther. He also shared posts about Elon Musk Starlink stealing the 2024 election. The Starlink story is really taken out. A call for a recount. Oh my God, he was straight up blue and on. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It literally feels like I invented this guy out of thin air. This is the guy I was joking about. Cole Allen shared post claiming Tulsi Gabbard was a Russian asset. Tulsi Gabbard appears pure Russian asset. Russia's nakedly lobbying in favor of Tulsi. Only way Tulsi gets confirmed is the U.S. Senate to wholly abdicate its responsibility to maintain the safety and security of U.S. Citizens. Cole Allen shared posts referring to Trump's cabinet as rapist, spy, zealot, anti-vaxxer. Tommy Vitor banning the vaccines. Project Lincoln, get your family vaccinated while you can. Okay, this is exactly the type of guy who gets mad at the Pod Johns for having me on. I'm just saying. It is a little bit funny. It is a little bit funny that after these past 2 months of every fucking right-wing Democratic consultant yelling at me, it turns out one of their guys was responsible for it. What do I say? First, you joke about NATO Andes, Ryan Ruth appears. Then you joke about Radlib bluing on K-Hovers, and this guy appears. I know. I don't know what the hell. Oh, okay. What are you sneaking in? You got bored? Hello. Hello, good girly. Abundance are mad as fuck with this one. Bro. They're abounding. Trump is nominated the most corrupt, ethically compromised, incompetent cabinet. I mean, again, a lot of correct posts, a lot of Will Stansel posts, but oh my God, he loved Will Stansel. The scary part, Cole Allen looks like he came from a good family, Caltech graduate, master of computer science. His beliefs mirrored mainstream Democratic talking points, yet he charged a Secret Service checkpoint with a shotgun, willing to die for a shot at the president. This is what the left constantly calls Trump Hitler, ICE, the Gestapo, and U.S. fascists. The rhetoric. Cole Allen retweeting a post saying, voting for Jill Stein is such embarrassing shit. Another read. We'll either have the first woman president or the end of America. He showed a no opinion post on Trump canceling the CHIPS Act. Kaya. Watch out. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. What a fucking... Eyvallah. Sağ ol babacığım. Wow. Wow. Cole Allen retweeted mainstream Democrats like David Frum. Free Press? Wait, FP Wellman? No, Fred Wellman. I don't know who that is, but wait. I don't even know who that is. These are motherfuckers who have called me literally in the last week a terrorist. David Frum. Oh my God. Dark woke blue MAGA. Your strongest warrior has arrived. Scott Jennings is blaming you on CNN right now. Buddy, this guy fucking hated me. Okay? This guy fucking hated my ass, it seems. Oh my Lord. Scott Jennings can fucking chirp all day, every day. This guy is not one of mine at all.
I have a knot in my stomach about it every day that I wake up.
To be fair, he's all of our president, so that's number one. But number two, the left is not the only people online and in the world creating this sort of commentary back and forth. And I'm not trying to take away from people who have been targeted and things that have happened to them, but it doesn't change the fact that every single one of us is responsible for the rhetoric that comes out of our mouth, and it is just as equally as horrible on the right as it is the left.
All right,
What?
we got to take a
horrible?
quick break here. Tomorrow, the president plans to host King Charles. The visit going forward in spite of last night's violent attack. Could the incident shift the
Scott Jennings was on CNN Live talking shit about me. Turns out this guy is I mean, obviously he's not a Scott Jennings fan, but David Frum, people who fucking hate my ass, bro. This is crazy. If he turned out to be a HasanAbi hit, would you have left the country? No, of course not, because that's not how things work. Like, these people will try their very best to be like, oh, Hasan is a violent radical. He's dangerous rhetoric. But like okay, at the end of the day, we still haven't reached a point where the administration, it might get there, but we're not currently there where the administration would be like, oh, your clips out of context are actually invitations for violence. Like in a court of law, stuff like that is totally protected. Tying that back to someone like myself, even if he was a fucking fan, would be unbelievable. Like, I don't think this is Will Stansel's fault either, by the way. I just want you to understand. Like, when I look at his retweets, I'm not doing that to be like a victory lap, to be like, oh, Will Stansel's statements are violent. No, of course not. It's ridiculous. I'm not playing that game at all. Yeah. Neera Tanden, Cole Allen hating Hasan. Yeah. It's I mean, he called me a fucking grifter when he was literally on the train from California to Chicago on his way to try and assassinate the motherfucking president, dude. It's pretty hilarious that all these guys are trying to be like, oh, Hasan did this. Yeah, the most political action that my followers engage in is when they go and like run for office, okay? Is when they go and door knock for a candidate. Perhaps the reason for why that is the case is because that's what I constantly tell them to do. One might even say that my redirection of all of the anger and all of the animosity that exists in the ether is what leads people into more productive avenues rather than taking matters into their own hands and doing something fucking insane like this. Yeah, this was a really funny take. Person who thinks Hasan Piker is too radical but then proceeds to try to assassinate the president is something that only Blue Sky could produce. Posted 4 days ago. Timeline checks out. True. Sarah Longwell activated. You know what? It was Sarah Longwell who activated him because he was clearly a big fan of Sarah Longwell.